What's up, Jackson? Today's webisode is about experience as a black young professional. You know, my grandparents were sharecroppers. My parents were factory workers. As grandmother say, live hand to mouth daily. Have very little as far as acknowledging economics to support themselves and their family. And I decided to have this webisode about the experience of young black professionals, or as I can call it, the pedagogy of the oppressed young black professional. I was fortunate to be the first graduate in my immediate family from college, bachelor's in political science and master's in urban regional planning. One of the reasons for me starting CUGAS, Citizens Under Guidance Acting for Sustainable Progress, was to provide a stage, a platform for community people to address their needs through policy and acknowledging psychology and sociology and how it plays a role in our development, not just as a people, but in society. I have many friends of all walks of life, and I've been criticized throughout my life for friendships that I've mended or have, because I have many friends who are different, very different. But what I want to talk about is my personal experience being a black young professional here in the great city of Jackson, Mississippi. I've worked in government for over 8 years. I've been a teacher. I've served as a city planner. I've served as SPO for one of the most controversial elected officials in this region. And it's time for truth serum. It's time to talk about the truth as a people. When I attended Jackson State, I had a professor to ask all the students, who am I? I want you to stand up and define, who am I? And I stood up and I said, I'm an African-American, male-educated, single parent. And then he was like, boring. Mr. Fuller, you are a total composition of your life experiences. I am a total composition of my life experiences. So I want my people, before they pass judgment on anybody in society, that they acknowledge psychology and sociology. They play a pivotal role in who people are. I often say that most of the people I know are bipolar, schizophrenic, and suffering from a post-traumatic stress disorder. The Fugees had a song, M to the A, to the S, to the K, put your mask on your face just to make another day. As young professionals, you are always hit dead on with people who are dedicated to the cause without respect to money and status. You fight against those people who I like to deem as opportunists. And it's sad. I've worked with a lot of black elected officials, and oftentimes they still use that same application method. The white man keeping us down, and the white man this and the white man that. But people, let's use logic and let's use reality here. The majority of our elected officials are African American, where I live. But hadn't much changed for the people. So when I do comparative analysis, I acknowledge a piece, the pedagogy of the oppressed, that clearly describes why sets of groups of people are perpetual enslavers. My grandmother, who's sharecropper, she used to always say N-word and flies and crabs in a barrel. And, I didn't really understand that the perspective until I got out of school and reality hit me. When I graduated top of my class with a bachelor's of political science, and those people who were supposed to be my advisors and mentors and for the cause were the first to close the door in my face or served as gatekeepers harder than any Anglo-Saxon could ever do. Not only slammed doors in my face, but put their foot on my neck and held me down in oppression. But I had to rise above that and acknowledge when I got out that, in this life, it's about decisions that you make. I've made a lot of enemies over the years based on reality. I understand that people are a mere reflection of their life experiences. I understand that people reflect how they grew up, where they grew up, what they were taught, what they learned. And that no matter how old you get, that sticks with you in one way or the other. I've learned that many of our black elected officials have said the white man this and the white man that and play the race card, but they've enslaved our people more than any other set or group of people. You know, it's ridiculous. It's really sad. It's really sad. You know, classism is the key. Classism. Because I've seen many brothers and sisters that went to went to Faith Presbyterian Preschool at the corner of Bailey and Mays, where I attended, Bradley Elementary at Sunset and Ivanhoe, Brinkley Middle School at Albemarle, Lanier High School, 833 West Maple Street, Jackson State University, and so on. And they struggled and they strayed. They came from single parent homes. The parents live hand to mouth. They're living hand to mouth. Generation upon generations living in Section 8 and not breaking the chain through capacity building and helping each other out of the trenches and these type of things. But those who make it, they cross the railroad tracks, and it's as if they forget where they come from because of socialization. Their friends do not look the same. Their friends do not sound the same. Their friends are not the same background and status. So oftentimes their mindset or their ideas about society change. And ultimately they change because they've been socialized. So I want this webisode to give young black professionals the opportunity to acknowledge the painful history and truth of our reality. You know, I have a bachelor's and master's top of my class. I've done a lot of meaningful work to build the capacity of others. I work for a lot of civil rights activists and elected officials. I work for one of the most controversial elected officials in his regions. And no matter what I did for him to help the people, he treated me as an enemy because he saw me as a threat, not as an opportunity to use my expertise to improve the quality of life and services for the people, but to make my life a living hell every day that I came to work. That is ridiculous, my people. And we must rise above this. That we need to understand the importance of sociology, psychology, economic development, planning, and how they all come together to improve the quality of life and services for all our people. Until we understand that, until we learn how to read and interpret policy so that we can advise our elected officials to make sound policy that improve the quality of life and services for all, we will not see a change. You know, I'm asking all to support my new L.L.C, Citizens Under Guidance, Acting for Sustainable Progress. Cool guys, L.L.C. You know, email me at cugasp@gmail.com. Ask me to come out and hold forums with the people so we talk about capacity building in the community, not just talk about it. You know, in government, oftentimes when I learn to work in government, it's always a meeting, about what you're going to eat when you meet, about who you're going to see when you're going to eat, what you're going to wear when you're going to eat. And at the end of the day, you don't have anything accomplished. Or you make policy upon policy that is not applicable. It's not ready to apply to everybody's quality of life to improve their quality of life, but it's just something for people to have a leader's perspective where opportunists, yes, young opportunists, very slanderers and treacherous, would do and say anything to rise above or based on their standards. To put policy in place is really nothing but something you place on the shelf that's not usable, that's not applicable. You know, a group of people that helps these people who organize to make sure that we live check to check and do not make livable wages is young professionals. People saying you got to wait your time or wait your turn. When we are working on the legacy and the backs of Medgar Wilder Evans, who said keep your money off of Capitol Street because you're contributing to divisive measures that's keeping our people back here. And shortly after was killed. Medgar, who said, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or hell, but I'm coming from Jackson. That is dedication. You know, lest we forget. And oftentimes, our people, especially our black elected officials, forget very quickly because the lobbyist interests get behind them, the money gets behind them, and they're willing to do and say anything to keep from being that little boy who didn't have running water, that little boy who didn't have food on the table, that little boy who watched his parents' health diminish because they worked like dogs all day and every day, living hand to mouth, trying to survive, just to arrive and get all of this education and be educated fools. You know, you talk about money laundering schemes and all this fraud. But you know, I have a lot of friends. Most of my friends who graduated with me or went to school with me from Jackson, they left. They said, "The hell with Jackson. It's too regressive." You know, and you know, you can't fault them. But I said I'm gonna stick it out and stay here. But ultimately, if it comes down to my quality of life, decisions have to be made, people. Decisions have to be made. So I'm very eager to hear what young black professionals have to say about their experience here, not just here in Jackson, Mississippi, but around the world. I have friends that's moved to as far as Dubai to try to get quality of life and freedom. And they say it's much better. But I often tell people, you know, repression is not based on zip code only. You know, I have a lot of friends who left here, went to D.C., Atlanta, and other places, and they live in the same quality of life they lived here. But they changed their area code, so they feel like they've arrived. You know, let me not even get into that. We'll save it for the next webisode. I'm really eager to see what young professionals have to say about their experience and about how we have to fight like hell against opportunities that our forefathers and past generations have created as an army and gatekeepers against us to keep us all from progressing, to keep the truth from acknowledging that it's not just about racism, but that classism is prevailing in policy, and it helps determine why we have majority black elected officials and our quality of life has not improved. So Jackson, Mississippi, United States, world, hit me back up. Email me at CUGASP@gmail.com. Stand for Citizens Under Guidance, Acting for Sustainable Progress. If you want to send me a donation to do town hall meetings and different things like that, let's get it done, people. Because we must ensure proper education. We must improve the quality of life and services for all. And we must tell the truth. And we must know and use the importance of psychology, sociology, economic development, planning to move our people and our communities forward. Thank you, babe.